So we're very lucky to have a team from the University of Glasgow here with us in Lahore today. And we're even luckier to have a representative who is there to look after students from all over Pakistan. Masooma is the international officer for Pakistan. She's been part of the university's team for over a year now. And over this last year, one, I'd like to thank you for supporting us.
Thank you for
and
having
I'd
me.
also like to thank you for supporting all of our students, because at every stage there's problems. And I think you've been an exceptional support and a
Thank you so
bridge
much.
between the university and the students.
No, I'm glad to help, to be very honest. I think being in this role has helped a lot, obviously, a lot of students. And I think it was more of a supporting role for you guys as well, for our students going as well. So I'm honestly happy to help.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your experience with Glasgow, because if you look at it practically, there's some concerns that students or parents have that maybe Glasgow is a little tucked away and they're not certain if it's the right choice for them. And it's also a big settling in period, and a big culture shock for students when they move for the first time to the UK.
Thank you.
So, how has your experience been with Glasgow?
I think the experience in general has been amazing. I mean, I would definitely agree when people say that people in Glasgow are like the friendliest bunch, and I would definitely agree with that. So I had a chance to visit Glasgow back in April, and then I obviously wanted to visit London as well. So I went to London, and I could see the difference between both of these, the people in both of the cities. And I mean, I felt safer in Glasgow. I didn't feel safe in London. I was out walking at 12 a.m. in the midnight as well in Glasgow, and I felt safe. But I remember returning home in London at 9 p.m. and I was scared. I actually rushed. So yeah, working with Glasgow, obviously, given the whole, the white paper thing and all of those challenges that UK is facing right now, I think we're doing pretty great at the moment. In Glasgow, Scotland, I don't think I've had concerns about, parents or students being about the location and everything. But obviously, given Pakistani students, they're more into, London, Manchester, or Birmingham. I actually encourage them to, look into Scotland, look into Glasgow, because I personally think it's one of the better destinations, I would say, in my personal opinion. And I've always loved Scotland. This is before I worked for the University of Glasgow. I'm not a city life person, and I've always loved Scotland. Even when I was applying for my master's, Glasgow obviously did not have the course that I was interested in, but when I was applying, I chose a university in Scotland. I didn't go. That's another story, but it was in Scotland. So yeah, Scotland over any other area.
So, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about your role within Pakistan and how you support students through each and every step and then throughout the year.
Okay, so like you said, there are challenges obviously at every stage. A lot of students, starting with my role, so I basically am here to help the students to answer any queries that they have, and also for the agents as well. They might be stuck at a certain stage, for example. So a lot of our students, all of our students, they go through the qualification check stage after they've paid their deposit and before they get their cash. Sometimes a lot of students, because we get qualification checks documents verified from the institute, local institute, a lot of students end up getting stuck for a month. This is something we faced recently. So I mean, that's somewhere that I can help. The student can reach out to us, we can reach out to the qualification check team, and then it's like we check them we ask them to send reminders to the local institute. We reach out to the local institutes as well. We'd encourage, if a student has their own contact as well, we're happy to send our verification email to them to get the documents verified. There are issues when the student maybe is waiting for a scholarship decision. Let's say the student has applied for Commonwealth this evening. They don't know how to go through the requesting an extension in the deposit deadline. There are things like that. So scholarships, I mean, they haven't heard back. They haven't heard back on the decision. They haven't heard back on the scholarship or anything. So that's everything that I help with. And then obviously, there are expos and everything that I attend. It could be within schools or universities. It could be with the agents. It could be conversion events. I remember one of your students, she's going for creative literature. She went for creative writing, literature. And I remember she was confused. She wanted to speak to one of the academics. So, that's where I come in again, arrange a meeting, schedule a meeting with an academic for the students so they can speak, talk about their, the course, anything that they would like to know about employability, all of those. That's where I come in. That's where I help.
So one, I'd like to really thank you for that because that student was a little worried, and after speaking to the academics, she was quite clear. And she's joined Glasgow approximately, I think, 2 weeks ago.
Yes, she enrolled.
And her family was with her, and they were very happy when it comes to the city, when it comes to the university, and she's really enjoying her course. So I want to really thank you for that.
No, happy to help.
You visited Glasgow in April, and you were there, and you had the lens of a Pakistani, and then that of a Muslim. Now, can you tell me a little bit about the diversity in the city, and a little bit about, was it easy to manage? Was it easy to find options? When it comes to, let's say, people who are similar, and at the same time having that diversity, and then also practical things like having the options of halal within the city and around the university. Because as a parent, at times when you look at safe options, well, I don't know if I would call it safe options, but very, very diverse options which are right in front of you, like you gave the example of London and Manchester, I know they're there. But what about Glasgow? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Definitely. Like I said, I was out and about at midnight in Glasgow and I felt safe. I mean, I was not worried. The city is very walkable, I would say. There are people ride bicycles. You'll find them everywhere, honestly. There are a lot of, we're green. So Glasgow is green, and I think I love that about Glasgow, just like Islamabad. So I think I love that about Islamabad. Yes, you do find a lot of halal options. There's Pakistani food, there's Indian food, there's everything, literally. Yes, you won't find Pakistani chai, but you'll find everything else. The city itself, the people itself, they're lovely. They're there to help you out. They'll help you in any possible way that they can. You'll find Ubers, you'll find literally everything. So you have Uber Eats. So it's a very friendly, it's a smaller city. You get anywhere, you can get anywhere in like a 20 minutes distance or something. But yes, love the history, the heritage, the green part, the people, diversity. I would say I've heard a lot that there are a lot of Faisalabadis in Glasgow. Didn't happen to meet any, sadly, but yes, it's very culturally diverse. We, again, we always talk about, we host students from 140 different countries at Glasgow as well. So it's very culturally diverse as a city, as a university, both.
So I know throughout your career, you've been guiding students for a few years. Now, I want you to step back, and if you were in the lens where you were actually talking to a 17, 18-year-old Masooma, what advice would you give her moving forward?
I think a lot of students, they're actually not sure what to study, when to start. I think the problem with Pakistanis is they're not into research. They don't look at the websites. They would never. So this is something that I faced this year as well. When I was speaking to students, they had actually applied to Glasgow. They had actually applied for sheathing in Commonwealth. And we all know how competitive they are. But they never bothered going through the university website. So I think that's one thing that I would, encourage any student to do it early on. Even if they're going for undergraduate, if they're going for postgraduate, that's something that they need to do. Look at the course modules, look at the course, look at the university. I mean, we definitely go after rankings and everything, but then again, every university is ranked differently for each course as well. For example, if you talk about Manchester, they're best with engineering. They're not as good as engineering when it comes to business. So I would say look at the course outlines, look at the core modules, make sure that you've looked into the course in detail. That's one advice.
Perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time out for this podcast.
Happy to have. Thank you.
So we're very fortunate here to have Louisa Freeman, who is a senior international officer at the University of Glasgow, and we worked very closely with you over the years. So thank you so much, number one, for visiting Pakistan, and thank you so much for doing this podcast with us.
Thank you for having me. I hope you don't need subtitles in English
Not at all.
over the accent. But yes, thanks. I'm delighted to be here.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the University of Glasgow and the city. Now, there's one concern that a lot of students and parents have, and I was talking to Masooma about this as well, that maybe the university is a little tucked away in the north, and they won't have the opportunity to actually connect with the rest of the UK. So can you tell me a little bit about Glasgow, and is that true or not? And then another major factor for students is employability. Will they have access to employers all around the UK?
So, although lots of people might not have heard of Glasgow, we're actually the largest city in the country. But I have to give you an economy of scale here. There are more people in London than there are in the country of Scotland. So, we have a population of about 800,000 in total. What does that mean? It means for students and their families, it's an internationally connected city. We have biryani. Might not quite be as good as here, but we have it. It means we celebrate all sorts of holidays. It means that we're diverse, we're interested in people, and there's an awful lot happening. The city is a UNESCO city of music, for example. There is music and culture and art happening at all over the city every single night. Some of it is less than good, some of it is excellent, and there's a whole raft in between. But it does mean that there's an awful lot available to students outside of just academia, because especially if you're coming for an undergraduate degree, it's 4 years. And of course, students are very driven and very focused. But the secret is happy students are successful students. And so they should embrace other things other than just pure academia when they are in the city. And Glasgow has all of that on offer and more. So we're a major city. The university is based in the west of the city. But what that means is, as I say, we have daily flights to Dubai. We're very well connected to mainland Europe. But also, you drive just 20 minutes and you're in the Highlands learning to ski or hill walking. When Masooma was over in April, we took her hill walking. It was beautiful weather, and I think it was a bit steeper than she was anticipating at the start, but nonetheless, there's always a good meal at the end of a good hill walk, and not all cities have the benefit of that. There's some larger cities where you travel for 20 minutes and you're still very much in a big city. So I like to think we have the best of both.
And this is something that at times you overlook, but it's one of the friendliest cities in the UK. Now, why do you think that is? Because, I've met you, I've spent time in Glasgow, I've met the people there, and I can vouch for it. But when it comes to the practicality of that, how does it benefit students and international students? Because it's a big step leaving your country for the first time for a lot of these youngsters and setting foot in and managing everything themselves. How does that play a part in their lives if, let's say, it's a master's student for a year or if it's an undergraduate student for the next 4 years?
So firstly, thank you very much. I'm very proud when I hear that, and you're not the first person to say that about my city. I've done this job for a very long time, and I have been as far east as Sydney and as far west as LA, and we hear that across the board. And like I say, it makes me a very proud Glaswegian. I think it goes back in history. We are a bunch of folk that like to have a good time. We are welcoming, we're hospitable, we're interested in people. It's as simple as that. It was mentioned earlier, we have twinned with Lahore, and I see a lot of that here. People want to know your story. We're just a friendly bunch. I mean, I'm not a sociologist, so I won't claim to go back too much into it, or indeed to the history. But I think if we go back far enough, we weren't particularly, the class society that existed in a city like Glasgow, it was a working city. And so there was an awful lot more people on the same class, for want of a better word, system. So we just gravitate towards each other, and we just enjoy people's tales, people's stories. Sometimes it can be a bit too much. Sometimes it's 7 a.m. and you're just trying to get a bus to your first meeting, and you're thinking, I just need my coffee before I tell you my life. But then there's some really wonderful parts to that as well. So I guarantee students that come across for the first time to this unknown place, our weather isn't as warm as our welcome. Let me just say that.
And one thing that's really important for students, international students, is having the opportunity of a scholarship. So, because we do have exceptional students in Pakistan, both at undergraduate and postgraduate level. Now, when it comes to scholarships, is there anything that's available at the University of Glasgow?
So we have a range of scholarships, and they vary depending on the subjects students are looking to study and the level they're looking to study. We're really fortunate that anybody coming to do a bachelor's programme or an undergraduate degree has the opportunity for a scholarship at each year that they study. Okay, I should be very clear. The number of full fee scholarships is very, very small. It's the harsh reality of education. We're a world top 100 university, and it costs us an awful lot to do the research we do and to deliver the teaching we do. And as much as we want to make that education accessible, we can't just give full fee scholarships to all students. To give you an understanding of where the university and indeed the country comes from, our domestic students don't pay fees at all. Sorry, I can hear people at the Scottish Government shouting at me. They do pay fees, but it is covered by taxpayers' money, so there's no individual charge. That's because it's within our culture that education and healthcare and a number of other things aren't a privilege, they are a right. And we have seen over the years many students that perhaps might not be able to afford to study benefit from the joys of education. For our international students, as I say, we aren't at liberty to do that for all, but we will look to reach out to the best and the brightest that we can offer. At master's level, we have a number of scholarships in our business school this year. And again, we are able to offer in the region about £5,000 to really well qualified postgraduate master's students. But what I would say to students thinking in this bracket, where we can, we will absolutely award scholarships, and we're delighted to do so. But I hope it's come across, we're not just looking for students with all the A's. Some of the most interesting students aren't straight A students. They are the students with social consciences. They are the students that are going to get involved in student life. They are the students that we're going to want to teach and be around. So I would encourage students not just with those high grades, with those marginally lower GPAs to apply, but the trick is you must hold an offer before we can start talking about scholarships. In reality, for students making their plans and families making their plans, there's probably going to be some degree of fee needed, and then cost of living is extra. But why not? Apply, see what happens.
So when it comes to a practical return on investment, now in terms of employability, how does the university support students, number one, while they're studying there and they can work, and then once they graduate, how does the career service actually support them and help them find employability?
So current students often work on campus. Now that's not guaranteed, but we will help our students to do that. And I would encourage students on day one to start engaging with the career service for part-time jobs, but also for longer-term career planning as well. We are very much a student city, Glasgow, and the area where the university is based in the west end of the city. Most of the students are the people working in the local restaurants or the bookshops or the cafes. It's very, very much supported, the industry is supported by our students. And of course, every summer, students graduate and abandon us. Hopefully they don't quite forget us. But vacancies occur in these roles, and they are flexible working hours, and the students can slot in every September to those roles. Please also remember, in the UK, by law, students must, anybody working must be paid a national minimum wage. Okay? A number of employers actually deliver something called the living wage, which is slightly higher again. So again, go online. I can't quite remember what it is right now, but for when budgeting and planning, that is what students can expect to be paid as a minimum. I should mention, visas at the moment will allow a maximum of 20 hours a week of paid work on top of study. We understand students need to work for financial reasons, for social reasons, to expand their CV, for those soft skills that we all talk about. But please remember, you're coming to study. 20 hours is a lot on top of exams. And dare I say, students are supposed to have a little fun as well while they're there. So that's absolutely critical. To speak to the job opportunities post-graduation. So, when students think of the UK, or when many people think of the UK, they think of London. Much in the same way when people think of Pakistan, they maybe think of Lahore, maybe Islamabad, maybe Karachi. There are an awful lot of job opportunities in the southeast. But, if we refer back to my earlier point, there's an awful lot more people looking for those job opportunities. Scotland has an ageing population, a declining population, and we have skills shortages. So we need people to come and help us with those issues. We have a huge financial sector in Glasgow. We have campuses for Barclays, Ernst & Young, PricewaterhouseCoopers. Our NHS is a huge employer. Our government is a huge employer. The list goes on. So again, I have to be clear, we don't get students jobs. That's on them. We give them the skills to get their own jobs. So our career service can help them with interview technique, CV preparation, all of that sort of piece to help them when the interviews come, they get their own role. And we love to hear about those stories out the other side. And in fact, employers come to campus every year looking for new graduates because of the reputation of the education that we deliver. And a lot of them are Glasgow graduates and they know what we're producing. So yes, and anyone that does guarantee a job placement in the UK, I would caution your students again that sort of claim. And plus they should be getting these jobs for themselves. It's much more rewarding that way.
Brilliant. So I wanted to talk to you about young kids who are used to living with their families, and then they have a bit of a society here with their friends and obviously their family as well. Now all of a sudden they move to the UK and they're living and managing things themselves. It can be a little daunting at times.
Sure.
Now, what kind of support does the university offer for students, number one, to settle in?
Yep.
And then at times there are students who have troubles.
Sure.
So how does the university support them?
Okay. So first of all, we are there when you step off the plane. We are there at Glasgow International Arrivals saying welcome. Okay. In the lead up to actually coming across, there will be endless content coming your way and endless invitations to join clubs, societies, etc. We invite our overseas students, all of them, not just from Pakistan, a week before our domestic students start. Okay? I strongly encourage your students to come for that week where possible. That week is to open bank accounts, to register with doctors, to get lost in the city, okay? And all of that is perfectly normal. It happens, and it's okay for it to happen. Again, we'll revert back to the friendliness of the city. Ask somebody, what direction am I going? Usually they will take you where you are going, but they'll certainly point you in the right direction. The second week is Freshers or Induction Week. And that's where you get to meet everybody that's going to be there in that year. My top tip to students would be, try something new. Okay? There are endless clubs and societies, and if there's not one you're interested in, you write a proposal to the Student Representative Council and you start a new society. Try Scottish dancing. Okay? The trick to Scottish dancing is enthusiasm, and if you haven't got a bruise by the time you go home, you're not doing it right.
I think the Punjabi students would get that well.
So yeah, try that. Harry Potter, Taylor Swift, who knows? Get involved. On the serious side, there is a huge amount of student support because we are aware from the students that you talk about that they do struggle on occasion. It's so different. Talk to us, tell us. The other just top tip I would give is most of our students would choose to go into halls of residence or dormitories. Definitely the way forward and one I would recommend. Cooking is a great introduction. It's a great leveller. Again, learn how to cook one meal well, okay? Typically, students will be in a shared kitchen and living environment, but either individual bedrooms and washrooms or shared washrooms and bedrooms. It's amazing how quickly someone smells something down the corridor and says, "Oh, I want some of that." And then the next night, someone's making chili. And then the next night, someone's making ramen. I've got no idea. And then students will gravitate and say, "Oh, I know where to get the good masala. I know where to get the good rice."
It's the best way to share your culture and actually just connect with everyone, especially in your flats as well.
And I'm going to say, if there's leftovers, bring them up to my office. We like this stuff in my office. Again, students for the first time will burn their dinner, will shrink their clothes, will dye everything pink. It's a rite of passage, okay? This is the secret. It's okay to get things wrong because then you learn. And again, university is about those life skills, okay? And the other secret I would give is everybody else in your dorms is doing this for the first time, okay? There might not be perceived as many barriers. I guarantee they are thinking the night before they leave, will I fit in? Will they like me? Will I get on? Everybody's in the same boat. So I guess what I would say is, don't worry. And I would say that to the parents as well.
So if I was to talk to you from the lens of a parent, because recently there have been quite a few protests in the UK, and there's been a decent amount of crime as well. Now, I'm a little skeptical when
Sure.
it comes to sending my young son or daughter.
Sure.
Can you talk to me about how Glasgow as a city is tackling that?
Okay. Sadly, it happens. It happens everywhere. And I'm not naive to that. The protests you reference, they've not only not been in Glasgow, they've not been in Scotland. The issues that were happening last summer didn't happen. It's the best way I can put it. They just didn't happen. I can't obviously guarantee none of that would happen. And if students choose to walk through dimly lit areas at 2 a.m. with their MacBook hanging out of their bag and hundreds of pounds spilling out of their pocket, that's maybe not a smart thing to do, okay? But the stuff that's on social media as to what's been happening out in the southeast, it just didn't happen up until recently in Glasgow or indeed Scotland. Again, we speak to the friendliness. I will reference a very quick piece, if I may, and it was a couple of years ago now, and Craig reminded me of it this year. There was an issue in the south side of the city, and there was somebody who had come. I genuinely, it was from South Asia, but I can't remember where from. And there were some challenges around. I think he was asylum seeking, or I don't know the details of it. But the long and short of it was, his case was concluded, and the police came to arrest and deport this individual. And it was Eid. And the people of Glasgow came out and surrounded the police and blocked the streets and said, no, this was a functioning member of society, delivering to the community. And I don't know the full story. I don't know how it ended. But on Eid, really? When he's already been here for years? And the police retreated.
Look at that. That's community actually standing up for each other.
Yeah, literally makes me very proud.
So at this point, there's a lot of young kids who are deciding what they want to study, and maybe they don't have or maybe they're not really sure 100% about the direction they want to take. What advice would you give these students? How should they decide what program to go for?
Okay, I've got a couple of things to say, if I may. First thing, in Scotland, we have a flexible undergraduate degree in many fields. I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. How is a 17-year-old supposed to know? So a bachelor's degree in Scotland is 4 years in total. That's because you take a range of subjects in year 1, a range of subjects in year 2, and then you specialise at the end of year 2. There's a graphic that I'm sure the team in the Naseem Khan Consultancy can help with this. This flexibility means students can actually end up graduating with a degree they didn't apply to. And it happens. Now, the beauty of this degree is students aren't making that decision this early, but they also have the chance to change their mind. And also employers tell us it makes them ultimately more employable. So if you're applying to study chemistry, but you've also perhaps for the first time had opportunity to study philosophy, that's only going to improve your knowledge base. And as I say, in this example, the student that applied to do chemistry could end up graduating in philosophy. But the second comment I would make is pick something you're passionate about. Education in the West is very different, or certainly education in the UK. We encourage critical thinking, questioning. It is not about remembering, okay? It's not about rote learning. It's about engaging with the content. And if you're doing something because you were told it would get you a highly paid job or because this is what dad does, that type of thing. Again, we'll go back to those happy students. Happy students are successful students, engaged students. So pick something you are interested in, and who knows what the career could be out the other side. Who thought, influencers was a job 15 years ago?
Well, it's a really high-paying job for a lot of them.
Exactly. We don't have a degree in influencing. I'm just going to throw that out there. But the subjects you may study could end up in a career that we don't even know exists yet. All right, so those would be my top tips. Do something you're interested in, and don't worry.
So the deadline to apply for a lot of courses is in January.
Yep.
Now, is there an advantage to applying early? Because there are a lot of students who feel that they're pushed and they really need to send through an application early. Or are they considered at the same basis if they apply now comparative to if they apply in January?
Okay, so the first deadline, there's a deadline in October for anyone looking to study at Oxford, Cambridge, to study veterinary, dentistry and medicine. I think that's them all.
Yep.
At any of the UK universities. So that's less than 2 weeks away. That's super quick for September 26 entry. The next deadline is the 14th of January. Now, there is possibility to apply later than that, all right? My advice to students would be start thinking about your choices. It would be wonderful if you could apply early, and then, dare I say, start focusing on those A-levels, start focusing on those IBs, okay? If you're still considering your options and there are endless choices available, you're not focusing on getting the good grades. And that's really what that sort of second semester should be about. So yes, you can apply later, and there's various reasons to do that from the university's end, but from the student's end, make your choices, pick a lane. Now is time, and then you can start focusing on your studies.
Brilliant. Louisa, I want to end with one question. So if you had the opportunity to speak to a 17, 18-year-old Louisa, what advice would you give her?
Enjoy it. It's over super quick. 4 years at 17 or 18 feels like an eternity. Feels like you'll be an old woman by the time you graduate. It is not. It goes like that. So enjoy it, embrace it, have a go at it all. Do the study abroad year. Try something new. Learn a new language. Just do it, because grown-up life afterwards hits really hard, really quick, and you have responsibilities. So embrace, enjoy, and give it everything.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for taking the time out, and thank you so much for visiting Pakistan again, and then also for doing this podcast. I look forward to a lot more visits, inshallah.